Afghanistan, 2016. Army mechanics Merritt Charles and Zoe Ramirez are riding in a van, sharing a light moment listening to Umbrella on Zoe's broken iPod. Their peace is briefly interrupted by SPC Lewis, whom they both quickly dismiss. Present day, Merritt attends a court-ordered support group for military veterans. During another participant's turn to speak, Merritt suddenly sees Zoe rise and launch into a passionate tirade, questioning the group's purpose. The illusion is shattered when Dr. Cole, the group's facilitator, brings Merritt back to reality. Zoe isn't really there. Now living alone, Merritt frequently hallucinates Zoe's presence, imagining her as a live-in companion. One day, she receives a call from her mother, Chris, informing her that her widowed grandfather, Dale, a retired lieutenant colonel, has gone missing. Chris asks Merritt to check on him. After locating Dale, Merritt takes him to a doctor where he is diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's. Though Chris plans to move him into a retirement facility, Merritt decides to stay and care for him in the meantime. During her mandatory group therapy sessions, Merritt consistently avoids discussing the traumatic events involving Zoe. Each time she gets close to opening up, she becomes emotionally overwhelmed. And in her hallucinations, the imagined version of Zoe sternly warns her not to speak. Flashbacks suggest that something tragic occurred to Zoe during their deployment in Afghanistan. Because of her refusal to confront the past, Dr. Cole is unable to approve her progress for the court. It's eventually revealed that Merritt was placed in the program after causing a near-fatal accident at her workplace. If she fails to complete the group successfully, she risks facing criminal charges for negligence and possible jail time. While out on a run, Merritt passes through a cemetery and encounters a man named Alex who is clearing weeds. Initially annoyed, she confronts him, but he calmly explains that his grandparents are buried there, and he wants to maintain their resting place. In flashbacks, Merritt and Zoe talk candidly about life after their service. Zoe plans to re-enlist, convinced she has no future in civilian life, while Merritt tries to encourage her that a fulfilling life is still possible. During this moment, they cross paths with SPC Lewis and SGT Gonzalez, who warn them about a potential sniper sighting in the area. Zoe's sarcastic remarks seem to irritate Gonzalez, hinting at tension beneath the surface. Merritt visits Shady Acres, the retirement home Chris has been considering for Dale, to assess a room for him. To her surprise, she discovers that Alex is the facility's manager. After the tour, Alex invites Merritt out for drinks, and she agrees. Their evening goes smoothly until Alex brings up Merritt's time in the military. Still haunted by visions of Zoe, Merritt becomes emotionally overwhelmed and abruptly leaves the bar. Later, Alex reaches out and Merritt apologizes for walking out without explanation. As she spends more time caring for Dale, Merritt begins skipping her group therapy sessions. In an effort to connect with him, she encourages Dale to take his old boat out on the water, something he hasn't done since his wife passed away. While sailing, they talk about Merritt's PTSD, but Dale insists that veterans from his generation didn't experience trauma in the same way. Later, Merritt and Dale attend a 4th of July celebration for veterans in the local park. The atmosphere is light until Alex stops by to greet Merritt. In conversation, he casually mentions managing the retirement home, and Dale quickly realizes Merritt's intentions. Feeling betrayed, he lashes out, calling her a traitor before storming off. As night falls, Merritt returns to the lake house, only to find Chris already there. She informs Merritt that Dale has made it home safely, but expresses frustration at being kept in the dark, particularly about incidents like Dale injuring himself while under Merritt's care. Firm in her decision, Chris says it's time to move forward with placing Dale at Shady Acres. While out for another run through the cemetery, Merritt is once again confronted by the hallucination of Zoe. This triggers a powerful flashback to their time in Afghanistan, where the two were stationed on night gate duty. Zoe, increasingly hopeless about life after service, spirals into despair, prompting a heated argument. In a moment of crisis, Zoe attempts to step beyond the gate, hoping the enemy might shoot her, but Merritt pulls her back, pleading with her to believe there's still a future beyond the military. The flashback transitions to Zoe's return to civilian life, isolated, stuck in a dead-end job, and with only Merritt as a lifeline. On her birthday, Zoe reaches out, but Merritt ignores the call. Tragically, Zoe dies by suicide that same day. Haunted by guilt, Merritt blames herself for talking Zoe out of re-enlisting and for not being there when it mattered most. In the present, as Zoe's apparition tells her she's beyond forgiveness, Merritt counters that the real Zoe would have understood. Determined to move forward, Merritt rushes to Shady Acres to stop Chris from finalizing Dale's placement. She then reconnects with Alex, making peace, and heads home with Chris. There, she proposes a new plan, moving in with Dale to care for him herself. Both Dale and Chris seem to accept. Afterward, Merritt makes a decisive return to the group therapy session, surprising Dr. Cole. For the first time, she begins to share Zoe's story, honestly and openly. The film closes with a dedication to director Kyle Houseman Stokes' two late friends, both veterans who died by suicide. Real-life footage of the men appears on screen, alongside sobering statistics. Since 9/11, over 127,000 U.S. veterans have taken their own lives, making them 18 times more likely to die by suicide than in combat. Encouragingly, the numbers have begun to decline since 2019, thanks to increased access to mental health resources. A closing message from Houseman Stokes and the cast highlights several organizations working to support veterans and prevent suicide. Merritt Charles, a former Army mechanic, grapples with PTSD following the death of her best friend, Zoe, whose presence continues to haunt her as a vivid hallucination. Years earlier, Zoe confided in Merritt that she felt hopeless about life after the military, believing she had nothing to return to. Merritt encouraged her not to re-enlist, offering reassurance that life outside was worth living. Tragically, on her birthday, Zoe, isolated, stuck in a dead-end job and feeling abandoned, died by suicide after Merritt failed to return her call. Now, in the present, Merritt is required to attend court-mandated group therapy after a workplace incident nearly led to disaster. However, she's unable to move forward in the program as she refuses to confront or speak about Zoe's death. Meanwhile, Merritt's mother, Chris, urges her to check on her grandfather, Dale, a retired lieutenant colonel recently diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's. Chris plans to move him into a retirement facility, Shady Acres. As Merritt spends more time with Dale, she begins to form a meaningful bond with him. She also goes on a date with Alex, the manager of Shady Acres, but her unresolved trauma causes her to abruptly walk out. When Dale discovers the plan to place him in the home, he feels betrayed. In an effort to make things right, Merritt offers to move in and care for him herself. In a turning point, Merritt returns to group therapy and finally finds the courage to speak openly about Zoe's death, taking the first step toward healing.